Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sold with Updike Pugh.
I'm Jeff Updike.
And I'm Weston Pugh, and we've got another edition chock full of information about Dallas home sales and about some of the, we've got an exciting guest today.
Yep, we sure do, and everything else real estate.
Yeah, so Jeff, tell us a little bit. I think you saw something in the news this week, and you thought that it would be a great piece for us. Tell us why you think it's good and actually break it down.
Well, one of the things we were talking about a couple of weeks ago was when you begin reading things in the newspaper, be sure and read through the whole article, because the headlines are usually what is there. That's the sensational part of what the information is. And so I printed off the front page of the business section from last Friday's newspaper. And this is Steve Brown's column. And if you look at these maps and you look at the headline, 2018 year of slower sales, it looks very ominous. But if you begin to read through the article, even into one of the first lines says prices are still rising in most residential areas. So the article is really well written, and it documents a lot of what is really happening in the market. But rather than our market going like this, like it has for the last 4 or 5 years, we're now beginning to see it do this. And so there is a settling down going on. Lower price points are still just out there rocking right now, though.
Yep. And I think it is interesting that today we learned that the actual people who write the titles are not actually the ones that write the articles. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing is really trying to put that out there to get your attention, draw you in. Mm-hmm. But it's up to you to kind of finish it up. And we appreciate everybody that called us and asked us a little bit about that, about what does it mean for them and what should they be looking for.
Yeah,
it's great to know that we have a sphere that is actually pretty real estate savvy.
Yeah, and pretty engaged. They want to know what's going on with whether they're in the beginning of looking for a home, or if they're in the process of buying one, or if they're considering selling. People, tend to focus on real estate, like we discussed in one of our other episodes, that people that own residential real estate have 44% greater wealth than people who don't own real estate. Yep. And it's a big investment, because it's a big investment.
And it does pay off in the end. So that's a great article. And Steve Brown, thank you so much. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and find us on Twitter and let us know.
Does a fantastic job. So.
One of the other things that we have recently started doing, and it is the newest marketing piece that we have, if we kind of go back to our sphere, this one actually has been a newsletter that we have been working on, and it comes out every month. And it's a way for us to both talk about our real estate that we have listed, but also help people get to know us a little bit better. This was this month's that just went out. And like I said, our sphere is great. We've heard from several of you. Thank you for taking little pictures and sending them to us. They're great. On the back side, you can actually see that we actually have a recipe that our own David Lee has put together and sent out. And there's also upcoming events that are in and around the area. If you find something out that's interesting, that might be a little more niche, or that isn't out there, we'd love to know about it, because there's a chance we might want to feature this. If you didn't get a copy of this, please let us know in the comments.
Yep, just go to our website. There's a contact page on there, and just put your information in. Write it newsletter, and we will know it from there. That's what you want to get. If you want to get it by print in the mail, we're happy to do that. If you want it to come electronically, we can make that happen too.
But we send these out about the 25th of every month. So if you didn't get yours and you would like to, please go ahead and shoot it on over and let us know.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into the real estate. I think the first one that we have is in North Dallas. You want to start us off and tell us a little bit about where it is?
I will. This is a home that is located at 3960 Durango Drive. And And 3960 Durango Drive is really well located between Midway and Marsh Lane, just north of Walnut Hill. If you've lived in Dallas for a long time, you probably know about a street called Rosa Lane, and Durango is the western end of Rosa. The two streets meet, and it actually changes names there. So, wonderful area. This is a home that is priced at $399,000. It is what I would consider to be a starter home in that neighborhood. It is on a beautiful lot, an oversized lot, and there's a lot of things going on in that neighborhood that I think make this a really good value right now.
One of the things that Jeff and I do when we look at houses that are our neighborhoods actually that are of interest to us is kind of what's the ecosystem right now. And this whole area has a huge growth factor. They have end users that are coming in and taking and updating houses. They have flippers that have come in and done a lot of great work. And we also have the people that are actually tearing down. And this house actually has a blank lot with new construction that looks like it'll be coming in. One of the great things about this home that we felt was that it had a lot of the big ticket items taken care of. So when we look at the kitchen, I think we have some pictures of that. Great shot. This one right here, I'll talk about it. It has brand new appliances that are included. Not often do you find the fridge, the dishwasher, the built-in microwave, and a range all brand new. Also, the backsplash is done in glass tile, and the gray is painted throughout and looks great. In the kitchen, this much of the work being done is a very positive attribute to this. We also like that off of the kitchen there was an additional sunroom that this couple or owner has used as an office to be able to get good view of the backyard.
And it's an air-conditioned sunroom. It has its own HVAC system out there.
Yeah, so from the wood floors that they've taken care of all the way to the paint, this is a really great home on a great lot. We thought that this had would be rated very high for move-in. The only update that we might have thought about doing would be to replace windows just for an energy efficiency thing. And one of the other things that we talked about as we were touring it was that this had a high possibility of being an investment property if you wanted to add this into your portfolio.
Yeah, and it is probably a quarter mile away from the new Central Market that opened up there at Midway Road and Northwest Highway.
That's right.
So this one, again, is priced at $399,000. That's about $294 a square foot, which is still within that price range that we see in the marketplace. And 3-bedroom, 1 bath, one car garage, and it is ready for a new owner. So thank you to Rachel Norris for letting us talk about that home.
So moving on, we're going to stay in the north area, but we're going to jump to the other side of 75, and this is going to be 8006 Glen Albens Circle.
Yep, this is in Glen Lakes. It's a gated community of about, I think there's about 700 homes in this gated community that vary in price point from the $800,000 range all the way to over the $2 billion range. Very conveniently located, once again, just south of Walnut Hill, just off of 75 or Central Expressway. And this one's priced at the incredible price for Glen Lakes of $799.
Yep. So this one right now is a three bedroom, 4.2 baths, which means it's got 4 full baths, 2 powder baths, and it comes in at 43 square feet, and it was built in 1985. One of the things, again, I think Jeff touched on this, is that this is a fantastic opportunity to actually be able to be inside of the Glen Lakes community. One of the things that we loved about this, we're going to talk about bones in this house. The bones of this home are amazing. You have both height in your ceilings, you have large floor-to-ceiling windows, and it is a 0 lot line. One of the things that you always want in a house that you're going to be doing some modifications to is you want those bones to be there. And we think that the kitchen also has itself set up so that there's plenty of countertop space, lots and lots of cabinets, as well as what everybody is looking for. And one of the great things that we liked about this is that the kitchen and the breakfast nook actually had a pitch-up ceiling up to an open loft on the second floor.
Yep. One of the things I'd like to say about this is the floor plan in it is a great floor plan.
Absolutely.
And that is one of the things that you run into in renovation projects many times is the cost of moving plumbing or moving a wall or moving the how a roof comes down into a certain point. This home's it's basically a cosmetic renovation, if anything.
So this one also, one of the big things that I don't think we see very often because it is more of an expense, is that it did have his or a two-sided master bathroom. So that's a really great feature, and a lot of times people want that. So with this being in place, it, again, like Jeff said, it's a cosmetic update, being able to take it to your taste, and priced at $799. I think that adds a lot of room for an end user to feel comfortable, and also probably someone who wanted to do a turn on this.
And at 4,500 square feet, that brings this in at $176 a square foot. That's plenty of room for somebody to do a $200,000 renovation on this and still be well inside the financial confines of the development.
Absolutely. So this one is a great house. We think that it just probably needs a little bit of a cosmetic updating before move-in. And we want to thank our own Karen Fry for allowing us to talk about the property. Beautiful house. She has some great
Inventory and products and just a great person too. So.
So now let's take and jump over, and we're going to look at 9449 Hunters Creek Drive. This one is actually in the Richardson-Itis district.
That is correct. This is just off of Highway 75 and Royal Lane, and between Royal and Forest, let's say. It is about a block and a half from Skyview Elementary. It is priced at $415,000. And you know what? I think one of the best selling features of this home is the fact that it's in this Richardson School District.
I would agree with you. I think that being able to get to that Lake Highlands High School is so important, and it is what we see a big driver in that area and a big attractor. This is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It comes in at $25,230, so it's one of those rare ones that's a good-sized ranch. 1 story, under 3,000 square feet. It was built in 1969, and this whole entire neighborhood has a very, very kind of cozy feel to it with large trees throughout. It's just kind of like one of those places that you're very comfortable in. Inside, what we saw and what we really liked is that it has some renovations where they've opened up and allowed the dining room to actually be incorporated into a great family room that has really high ceilings and additional skylights. So this house has a great feel for it. And one of the things that I thought that they did a great job, and they spent the money, is right here. This is the kitchen, and it almost is the full length and butts from the front of the house all the way to the garage. And it's wide enough for multiple people to be in there cooking, and it doesn't feel like anybody's going to be stuck in there because it's so open. One of the things that I was impressed is I felt like this, and hold that shot right there for a second, that's probably one of the biggest ovens that I've seen. It is a 2 side-by-side ovens, and then it has a griddle, a grill, and 8, I believe, burners on top of it. That can feed an army. So.
These people did a really good job, or the people that did the renovation did a really great job, and they ended up taking in the dining room, what used to be the formal dining room, and incorporating it into that kitchen area, and then converting the front formal living room, which is what we're looking at now, into the formal dining area. And it just makes the flow of these houses so much better.
Sometimes you walk into a house and you're not quite sure why a wall was moved or why something was added, and I felt like that was one of the houses that everything made sense. One of the bonuses is that the master is very good sized, and that it also opens up to the backyard, and there's a covered patio. That's the shot, and that'll show you right to the backyard. And then if we look to the outside, we have a really good sized pool that has also a fire pit. I'm not sure that that's actually going to be in the picture. Oh, there it is in the far right hand side. So you've got privacy, which is nice. You've got flagstone, and you've got plenty of seating and enjoyment. And on a hot summer, I think that this is a definite winner for that area.
And again, it's priced at $415,000, which is a really great value at $164 a square foot. And we want to say thank you to Frada Sandler for letting us talk about her home.
Yep, that was a great home. I loved being in that one. So one of the ones, now we're going to kind of drift on down south, and we're actually going to get past White Rock Lake. And it's going to be 8621 Redondo. And Redondo is actually the street where I sold my first house. That is an entirely different story. John David, thinking of you.
This is in a neighborhood that is called Little Forest Hills. And Little Forest Hills has a really great history to it. White Rock Lake was a city-made lake that was started, the 3 acres that White Rock Lake is on were purchased by the city of Dallas in 1910, and it took them 4 years to be able to build that lake. And when they opened the lake in 1914, the neighborhood of Little Forest Hills had begun development, and it took it about 10 to 20 years to take off in selling. But many of these homes that are in Little Forest Hills started out as the hunting and recreational cottages,
Yeah.
because you were considered to be on the outskirts of Dallas. You were like on the wild side of the lake at that point. So here's a great picture, and it kind of sets the story for the type of home that you find over there.
And and I feel like we're not always looking for areas that show you the renovation or that are gentrification, but this is another one of those neighborhoods where we're seeing tons, and on this street specifically, you will see lots of houses that have modern, brand new construction just a couple of doors down, and I feel like it's a great ad. This is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and it's 1,800 square feet and built in 1948, kind of as Jeff was talking about. This actually home, you can tell, I think it's interesting when we look back and try to figure out who owned this house. This house had to have had someone who was either an architect or within that field, and then another owner at another time had to have been a chef. Given the fact that the way that this home has been opened and knowing what it started as, it lends itself to someone who had privy to a lot of information. The flow is very, very easy. Today's buyers would truly appreciate the way a kitchen actually opens up into this large family room with tons of glass. They've done a great job of relocating this dining room at the front so that it can actually work as someone that's sitting around on the working, but you're part of the house.
Kind of an additional entertainment area there. I know when I have friends come over, there are lots of times where we just sit around the dining room table because we're playing cards or games or whatever. And with the flow that this house has, it makes entertaining so easy with the kitchen being right there.
Exactly. I feel like that is a strong one. And then as you move in past, that's kind of like a hallway / office area. This goes into another larger second family room. And this family room was probably a 20 by 15. Great size, could be used for whatever you needed, whether it was a second living room or whatnot. This is it. I love the exposed rafters. This is one of those points where we see reclaimed wood and we see rafters in the ceiling, and we know that somebody who has a vision was actually working here. When we visited with the agent on this house as we toured it, there doesn't seem to be any limitations, put an asterisk by that, but any limitations that would stop you from actually putting in a garage to kind of complete this home.
Yeah, there's plenty of room in the backyard. It'd be very easy to put a nice, good two-car garage back there.
So this one is 100% move-in ready, and it actually has an open house on November the 3rd, which is this Sunday from 2 to 4. So if you'd like to take a look at that, swing on by. This one is priced at $379, and that brings us in at $211 per square foot.
And we thank Eric Holmes for letting us talk about his home today.
Yep. Thank you so much, Eric. So that concludes the first half of the show.
Yep.
And this kind of brings us to a new thing that we're going to try to do.
Yep.
And I think we've kind of reached out to everybody and said, if you've got ideas, let us know. Well, we've had people take us up on that. And Jeff, you want to kind of talk a little bit about this?
I would like to. I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to a very close friend of mine, but is also one of our clients, about her process in buying her first home with us. And I really wanted her to give us kind of her perspective on preparation. How did she feel going through the process? What were some of the hang-up things? And be able to share that with you, because if you're about ready to start that process, we'd love to work with you, but we want you to hear direct from someone what theirs was. So I'd like to let you watch my interview with Kelly Mann. Hi, today I'm here with Kelly Mann, a really good friend of mine and one of our former clients. And, one of the things that Weston and I talk about in our show is the process in buying a home and the thought that goes into it and all of those things. But I thought today we would ask somebody that just recently went through the process to kind of give us her perspective on just how it went and what you thought. So Kelly, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So Kelly, tell us a little bit about how long did it take you to prepare to get ready to buy a house?
Gosh, so I guess there's 2 phases, the long phase and the short phase. So really I'd been looking casually for, 2-3 years, just perusing Redfin, just seeing what's out there, getting a sense of what's realistic in my budget and, updated versus not updated, because it'd be great to have new construction, but
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't afford that. So it just helped me get like a realistic sense of things. And then probably back in the December, January timeframe, visiting with some friends back home from Chicago. And one of my friends started the process to be pre-qualified. And so he was really nudging me like, oh, just do it. Just take the step. Just get the pre-qualification letter. Like, you'd be shocked at what you could afford. So I just constantly had that in the back of my mind. And then knowing you, being good friends, I remember asking you, a little bit more about, what it takes to find a mortgage lender and what that looks like. And, I had some concerns about PMI. That always seemed like a negative thing to me, but with the way that interest rates are going, I remember you giving me the advice that it's more economical to pay a little bit of PMI up front than, a higher interest rate down the road. Because I was looking at, a couple years of feeling like I needed to save enough to have that 20% down payment and not bleed myself dry, have
Right.
something left over in my savings, for a rainy day fund. So that was really the impetus. And I think that conversation was in January. And then you connected me to a great mortgage lender, and that got the ball rolling. And I think my first offer was in early
February,
February. So yeah, and once you get those first offer jitters out, then it gets a lot easier to
Yeah.
jump in and make a move.
The contract's kind of daunting if you just look at it, and I mean it's easy to understand if you read it every day.
Yeah.
But for first-time home buyers, it can be a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, and that was one of the things stressing me out is, being ready to go through all the paperwork and all the fine print and all the details. But, working with you and Jeremy, everything was taken one step at a time, piece by piece, and explained so well. So that took a lot of the stress out of, you didn't have to understand the whole process end to end up front. You
Yeah.
just had to understand whatever step was next.
Yeah, good. When I know we really didn't look at that many homes out there, because you had a pretty well defined list. What were some of the things that were on your kind of like top 10 list?
Yeah, so I think location was a big one. Well, and knowing that I wanted a condo versus a single family home, that narrowed the list down significantly, especially in Dallas, the way that it works. There's pockets of condo communities, but they're not very spread out.
Yeah.
They're all kind of nestled in together. So once you found the general geographic range, then you would focus in on that. But definitely looking to upgrade to a 2-bedroom. I was in a 1-bedroom apartment and kind of feeling like I was outgrowing that. I wanted 2 bathrooms, good closet space, would love a gated community, but that wasn't exactly a deal breaker. I guess one deal breaker was washer dryer in unit, which we saw some where that wasn't the case. Beautiful rehabs, awesome, but then your washer dryer was a coin operated one in the hallway. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Let's see, would love an open concept, but again, not a deal breaker. I just didn't really want a galley kitchen because those feel narrow and hard to bump around in. Preferably a 2-story or a 2nd-story one. And then hardwood floors are nice, but again, that was something I was more flexible on.
Yeah. How many of the things on your kind of your top 10 list were actually things that you ended up with?
I would say most of them. I think my biggest compromise was on that second full bath. So I ended up getting a 1.5 bath, but at the price point I was getting it at, that was a worth it compromise, just knowing what was out there and, kind of the deal that I was able to get.
Yeah. And I think that when you were comparing calculations, there was it really wasn't far off what you were paying in rent for a 1-bedroom.
Yeah. And the one that we ended up finding, I was able to do a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30. So, a little bit higher monthly payments, but it was still, within the ballpark of had I gone on the very high end of my initial budget.
Right. Yeah. That what parts or what part of the process did you think was going to be the most stressful?
I don't know, the whole thing. It's just all the paperwork and, not knowing all the pieces that go into the mortgage lending process. But, actually the company that I worked with, it was real easy. You put in, your bank logins, and there was only a couple other files that I needed to upload, and it was everything they needed to move forward.
Yeah.
So, that came together really easy. And, the inspection was a big unknown for me, but that ended up going smoothly. And then I guess the closing process ended up being kind of overwhelming. So there's so many documents to sign, but everyone's so helpful and does such a great job explaining it.
Were there any, I don't know, kind of, wow, I'm glad I knew that moments, or?
Well, I would say one of the biggest things is your guidance to have a home warranty built into my contract that the sellers paid for. I definitely cashed in on that my first month moving in, because in April when my inspection happened, it was too cold to test the air conditioning. So they didn't know that didn't work. And then I don't think the refrigerator is part of the inspection. I don't remember it being listed as an appliance,
Correct,
but
yeah.
when I moved in, that didn't work either. So I got a brand new refrigerator out of the deal, and got my air conditioning fixed, even though it took a couple of visits to get everything squared away.
Good. Are there any regrets or any things that you wish you had known about the process?
No, I think I went in with an open mind, and it was like I didn't know what I didn't know. So most of it was a learning experience. So I guess it was good. I didn't have a lot of like preconceived notions or expectations.
Yeah. It can be a little overwhelming, and I think just going back to what you said about I didn't know what I didn't know, and
Big time.
yeah, it can be. Well, good. I'm glad that it worked out well for you, and I hope you're happy in your home for a long time. You've really done a lot with it already. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing how much you can do in a short amount of time.
Yeah,
So,
it's just fun customizing all the things that you don't really get to customize when you live in a rental.
cool. Well, thank you very much for coming in. It was very good to see you today, and thank you for doing this. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you for all your help in the process.
Kelly, thank you so much for coming in and talking to me about that. It was a pleasure to work with you. We really enjoy working with first-time home buyers. A lot of times people say they may call us and they see that we have listings kind of from one end of the spectrum to the other, and we work in a wide variety of price ranges. But one of the things that I think Weston and I have always enjoyed doing is working with first-time home buyers.
Yep. And I feel like I used to do new home sales, and so all I did was work with buyers. And so for me, working with buyers is kind of like a kickback to like my beginning, and I really enjoy it. It's fun to take people through the houses and get them excited about the possibilities.
It's rewarding. I mean, it's a lot of times you're helping somebody make the biggest financial decision they will ever make for their entire life. And, I know I appreciate the opportunity to do that for people. And it really is one of those emotional parts of the business that I love.
Yep. Well, that pretty much wraps up today's show. We've talked a little bit about the houses on the market, and we've got great insight from Kelly. Thank you so much. And Jeff, is there anything else you want to talk about?
There sure is. I
All
want
right.
to thank you so much for tuning in today. There are so many ways to reach out to us. You can come like us on our Facebook page. Our Instagram is Updike Pugh. You can look at that and see not only our listings, but some of the things that are going on in our world. And then you could also visit our website at updikepugh.com, get the latest information about inventory, and get a price evaluation directly from homeprice.fyi. Put your address in, give a little bit more information, and we instantly send you a value. You can also shoot us a text or give us a phone call. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, and we will see you next week at 3:30 on Tuesday on our Facebook page. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.